Today, we're talking about one of the biggest decisions you'll have to make in Zenless Zone Zero's first anniversary event, which is what S rank to pick with your agent and W engine selector. Because Hoyoverse is not giving out one, but two huge freebies.
What is that?
But sadly, most players will waste them on the wrong choice and maybe even regret it later. But sometimes Mindscapes and constellations can change that around new limited characters and reworks of older ones. And the same goes for the S-rank stable banner W engines. And that's because eventually we will have some of them at 5-star rating, so a lot of them will still retain good value even with the meta continuously shifting. Do not underestimate these selectors, because choosing what you'll use them for is going to be one of the most critical decisions you've had to make so far for your account, especially if you've just started the game a few months ago. But I'll explain that just in a moment, because if you're starting the game and didn't get what you wanted from the welcome banner, my advice there is to pick a character you like the most, get their W engine as well, because that sense of completion and playing a character you enjoy, I promise you it will keep you motivated through the beginner grind. And my dude, that's the most important thing. But there is good news for players who have been around the block for a while now, and there is a right answer for both selectors. So far, you might be hearing things like, pick the meta unit, Lycaon or Rina. Brimstone's so good, but here's the catch. That advice ignores what your account actually needs. So if you've been playing for more than 6 months, instead of asking, what do I want? Ask yourself, why are they so huge? No, that's not it. Ask yourself, what could I get to help stage the attacker or normally DPS in my teams that is struggling against deadly assault and sheer rotations, which frankly are only going to get harder because rupture and sheer force is a thing. And HP inflation as well. But there is nothing we can do about HP inflation as it's part of the gacha blueprint. They do it also to keep up with the ever-evolving gear and game and characters, and when gacha studios do that very aggressively, it's often a sign that they want players to pull on the banners to keep up, and that's just how it is. Anyway, here is what we're going to do, and this formula works every single time. We're going to go through what is available with these selectors and what strengths and weaknesses lie around those options, and if they can bring value to your account. So we'll go through that first, and we'll make this as straightforward as possible. And at the end, I'm going to force you to take a little quiz with me, and we're going to get our answers. So first up, we have Lycaon, a nice stun specialist with terrifying days output and team utility that makes him a must-have in many setups. He's a reliable frontline butler who brings more than tea. This guy shreds ice resistance by 25% for whooping 30 seconds and boosts the stun damage multiplier window from 150% to 185%, so a big increase for burst when it matters most. Now, Lycaon does require some field time to charge up his basic attack combos for max days, and he's not the most flexible character outside an ice team, but for staging DPS characters like Ellen, Miyabi or Hugo, he's basically made for them. His additional abilities are really easy to proc in a nice team. Surprisingly, I've seen him work well with Corinne, enabling her additional ability when she's missing a physical or Victoria unit. Now about his W engine. Lycaon's signature W engine, the Restrained, is basically there to emphasize his role as a stunner. It boosts both stun and damage output, but it doesn't give the energy regen you expect to find on a W engine for Lycaon. But what you get is more punch and solid option for any stun agents, not just Lycaon. And that said, if you're building Lycaon as a main unit, a main stun unit, this engine is well worth selecting. If you're using him more as a flex support, you might get away with an A rank alternative, but this one's not a waste if you choose it. Next up, we have Grace, an electric anomaly agent with high mobility, an obsessed mechanic waifu all day long. She deals the majority of her damage through her anomaly burst being shock, and helping to create disorder or taking advantage of it herself depending on her set position within the team. So she can be played as a main DPS on field, but also extremely valuable for helping set the stage for others. She pairs really well with limited DPS agents like Miyabi, Jane, Harumasa, Yanagi, and also Vivian. Her W engine fusion compiler, it has great value for her, but also for other agents like Bernice, Yanagi, Piper, or even Miyabi. They can use it as a substitute to their signature W engine, and the effect condition is very easy for anomaly characters to activate since it's basically just launch a special or X special. So it's a very easy weapon to use, and it's what I call fire and forget. After that, we have Nekomata, a physical attacker that likes getting behind the enemies to deal more damage when paired with her signature. She does large AoE attacks from her ultimate, chain and dodge counters, which allows for easy cleanup. So great for early game content and grinding, and easy for new players to master since using her X special is going to be very frequent since the cost is very low. The problem is she has huge competition among her element being physical, and very limited team synergies options right now, but that might change with Rupture being added in future. But she does welcome Trigger and Nicole at the moment with her additional ability, but also Ambi and Pokora. Her W engine Steel Cushion, it has value for A-rank physical attackers like Corrine. I've seen people use this on Hugo to teleport behind enemies and take advantage of the effect, but other than that, right now, there isn't much value in getting it for your account since it's very specific. And then we have Soldier 11, Fire Attacker DPS. She's easy to use, but deceptively tricky to master. Her damage comes free and fast once you get into the rhythm of her time basic attacks, but messing that rhythm means missing out on her peak output. So yeah, she's not flashy, she's not flexible, but she gets the job done. She doesn't bring team utility or flashy mechanics, but if you're after a solid single target DPS with one of the highest ultimate multipliers in the game, with low brain power investment, she delivers. Best paired with like fire stun units like Lighter or Koleda, who make up for a lack of days while boosting her damage with fire, restrained, and buffs. So if you don't have them, there's still other options. Pokora and Trigger make great off-field partners who let Soldier 11 hog the field while keeping, the days going in the background. And yeah, Astra, Yao, Nicole, and Lucy, they also provide flexible buffs and are generally good options. For her W engine, the Brimstone, this thing, it's basically a basic attack buff machine. You stack up bonus damage by hitting things, like simple, right? But the catch is, you gain one stack every 0.5 seconds, and each stack has its own timer. Is that a catch? It depends. But it means that to maintain max buffs, you need to be constantly attacking. But if you're already flowing with her basic attack combo timings, this W engine is excellent pick and hard to beat for her. It can also be used on other, basic focus DPS units, but it clearly shines best on Soldier 11 herself. Koleda! So, the Fire Stunner Hammer Daddy Issues Enforcer from Belladog. She's slow, heavy, and hits like a freight train. Now, Koleda really thrives on her X special attacks and basic attacks that give her both temporarily invincibility and insane days output, and it really does. She can take the field and stay uninterrupted for a while if you play her correctly. And her playstyle does feel clunky at times, like slower animations and lock-ins means paying attention does matter. Her normal attacks can feel a bit slow and weak when they're not, mixed up with her X, though you would most of the time want to do 2 basic attacks and 1 X special to get her where she wants to be. But when she's set up properly, she becomes like a staggering powerhouse that opens constant stun windows, so there is definitely value there. And what's interesting actually about her, with team synergies, is that her additional ability bonus, it's great, but it's actually not essential. So she fits surprisingly well as a flex pick in many teams without major losses. And for her best teammates, Evelyn and Soldier 11 both love her. And for her W engine, the Hellfire Gears, surprisingly, it's ideal for any stun agent who regularly uses X attacks. So Koleda's entire gameplay revolves around that, so she really welcomes this W engine on her. It's versatile enough to use on any other stunner agents too, especially if you feel like you're just not getting up to the X windows fast enough. But if you're using Koleda the way she's meant to be played, this W engine is a must-have. Rina, electric support agent that may act like a crowd pleaser, but don't let that smile fool you. Rina is one of the most powerful support units in the game below Astra, Yao, and next to Nicole. She fights by deploying 2 adorable puppets. They stay on field for a short time after each ability, and they deliver team-wide buffs just by existing. Well, her mechanics, they do revolve around managing cooldowns and puppet uptime. The payoff is worth the micromanagement. Her team-wide pen ratio buff is incredibly valuable, especially for characters who scale with it, and her additional ability increases the duration of shock on enemies by 3 seconds, but she also grants 10% electric damage, so pushing shock teams basically into a higher performance territory. But even outside electric comps, her universal buff is so strong that she fits easily into nearly any comp. And Rina's playstyle is simple to grasp, but tricky to optimize. Her buffs will drop off, like most of them out there, but if you do manage this correctly, you'll be absolutely fine. There is some rhythm and planning to, master, I haven't built it myself, but I have tried her, and it's not that hard. And Rina, she helps set the stage for DPS characters like Yanagi. She gets full value from Rina's shock duration buff and electric damage boost, so turning their combined anomaly output into something special, really. Now, Harumasa benefits from the full pen ratio buff and shock shock-based electric bonus damage as well, so there's something, to be considered there. Her W engine, the Weeping Cradle, this thing is a top-tier support weapon, and not just for Rina, but for any off-field buffer. And, and it's all passively, so it's great for agents that have low field time. So if you're looking to buff the whole squad with one character who barely needs time on the field, Rina's your girl. Now, what I want to say is that Zenless Zone Zero isn't a game that needs you to remember sweaty min-maxing damage windows or chain cancellations to clear the content. At least not right now. It's a gacha game that needs you to understand team building and team synergies. And the good news is that synergies are also going to become more flexible in Season 2 with Rupture being added to all the additional ability conditions. So, but some players struggle on Deadly Assault fights and run out of time to get to the 20k marker. And they blame themselves because sometimes their buds just roast them for skill issue, or, their units could have poor gear. And as some of you know, I'm a huge drive disc freak in the community, and I just love anything gear related in Hoyo games. But what I've come to understand in Zenless Zone Zero is that most of the time, those things aren't the problem. It's usually within the team units and swapping things around between teams that fixes everything with little effort. So, what is there actually to be said about this, about these selectors? Well, the game has been out for a year, and these stable S-rank agents and W engines have been tested in all team compositions and settings, of which we're going to get more in Season 2, obviously. But what I'm trying to say is, what we need to do is find what exactly is missing on your account. And to do that, we need to ask ourselves a series of questions. So we need to take a little quiz here, and what that's going to do is going to point you to the gap, which is the golden ticket for you to make the right decision on both of these selectors. So this is my anniversary selector quiz. So first, the agent selector. Now for the first one, have you been playing for less than a month? Well, my friend, your best pick is to get the agent that you enjoy the most and love aesthetically. Choose your favorite agent, get the W engine, and this will carry you emotionally and mechanically throughout the early game. Number 2, role priority check. Do I need a support, stun, or DPS agent from the selector based on my roster gaps? Number 3, content struggle check. Which team of mine is underperforming in Shiyu or Deadly Assault? Could one of these agents offer better synergy or set the field more effectively for my DPS? Number 4, Mindscape upgrade check. Have I lost multiple 50-50s to the stable banner S-ranks? Would selecting a dupe of an agent I already own bring a real boost at their current Mindscape level? Now for the W engine selector. Number 1, W engine coverage check. Does one of my limited agents currently have an A rank W engine which I could upgrade them to an S rank W engine instead? Do any of my limited banner agents rely on a stable W engine that is actually shared between two S rank agents that I want to keep in the same team? Or maybe I have all the W engines, so do I need a dupe that I want to equip on another character? Or do I want to improve the star rating and increase the power of one of them I already own, and preferably on one of my limited banner agents? And number 2, W engine completion check. Based on my answers above, should I complete the unit I picked with their matching W engine? Or would it be smarter that I grab a W engine that upgrades the star rating for a limited agent that I use more often? Now, if it went a bit quick there, just go back to each question and, just pause it for a few seconds and give it some thought, because it's worth it and you'll be done super quick. But yeah, don't stress too hard over this, because in the end, it's just a game. Although this choice is going to be permanent and it can save you time later. So that's what you need to bear in mind, and this is why we need to do this. And the best way to look at this anniversary selector situation is that this is basically your shot to fix gaps or strengthen weaker teams that have been falling behind in Deadly Assault and Shield Defense based on the HP inflation and, the new enemies. If you can think of any more questions that we should be asking ourselves, please tell us in the comments below, because eventually somebody will stumble on your comments and it might just be what they needed to make their decision. And of course, as usual, please drop me a comment on what you would like to see next. And don't forget to like and subscribe for better luck on your drive disc rolls. This was Static. Remember to have fun, and I'll see you all in the next one.